From the northern portal of world's longest tunnel at a height of over 10,000 feet, welcome to the GCN show.
Welcome to the GCN show.
This week, 12 things that all cyclists should do at least once. How many can you tick off already?
We've also got a new world record, data to show what was the hardest race of last year, what could be the hardest race of this year, plus free e-bike rentals for residents of London. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that being forced to self-isolate is no reason not to get the miles in if you're a professional cyclist.
Mateo Jorgensen of Movistar found himself in precisely this situation and has racked up over 430 kilometres in 3 days on Zwift, including a 6-hour epic with 3,500 metres of climbing.
Yeah, he did that yesterday, didn't he? Or on Sunday at least. And that is a lot of sweat right there, as you would well know, Si. We also learned this week that the global bike part shortage is so severe, it's starting to mean the end of the road for a number of cycling companies.
Including Bowman Cycles, a small but very well-respected British company that has gone under because of supply issues, and that's both frames and parts.
Yeah, now according to Cycling Industry News, the website, there are a load of shipping containers that are stuck in the USA and the UK and are currently unable to get back over to Asia to pick the parts up.
People keep making stuff out of them, that's the problem. Like houses and things. Anyway, Ken Loosberg of SRAM, who spoke to Cycling Tips on their Nerd Alert podcast, said they now have more components built and ready than ever before, would you believe? But it's shipping that's causing the problem.
And in that same podcast, he also said that the demand is higher than it's ever been for bike parts, which I guess is a positive, isn't it? There are more people on bikes and wanting those bike parts than there ever have been before.
Yeah. Right, sticking with positive note, this week we are discussing things that we think every cyclist should do or experience at least once. And number one is visit your local bike shop, although you will have to keep your fingers crossed that they have something to sell.
Very true, yes. Now, this might sound very obvious, visiting your local bike shop, but when a lot of us buy everything online, there are a lot of people with all the gear.
And no idea?
Well, without wishing to sound too harsh, exactly that, yes. However, in visiting your local bike shop, not only will you be in heaven because you look longingly at all the bling bicycle parts on offer, but you're also likely to meet like-minded people.
Yeah, and the staff, kind of goes without saying, can be a real help, not only with advice on what equipment you might need, but also just to get you involved in the local cycling community.
Yeah, they can introduce you to a lot of people that can help you along your way, can't they? Next up, I think that every cyclist should get up before dawn and ride to see the sunrise at least once. If you're anything like me, mornings though aren't the best time of the day, but then the sense of satisfaction that you get from seeing that glorious sunrise and getting home very early having done a decent ride is like nothing else really.
It's true that. When was the last time you did that, Dan?
For a dog walk, only last week, Si.
On a bike?
For a ride, well, didn't we do that in Gran Canaria?
I think we might have done, Dan, 4 years ago.
Blimey, was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Well, doesn't time fly when you're having fun and lots of lions?
Right, number 3, fix your gears. It can be daunting to try and fix your bike, particularly if you're new to the sport, but there is nothing quite like the feeling of successfully tuning your gears if they've started to misbehave. Not only is it going to save you money, it's also going to give you a real sense of pride when you've done it, I think. And it's not that hard to do either, using an online tutorial video or getting help from a more experienced friend.
Yeah, Si here, being very humble, forgets to say that one of those tutorials was made by Si when he was about 12 years old, judging by the look of him in this video.
Yeah.
Moving on, what about saving for ages to get one of the best pieces of bike kit around? A top-of-the-range part or accessory that you've been lusting for on websites for ages.
Oh, man, I used to save money for so long to get what I pined for when I was young. And there is nothing quite like the feeling of going to a shop or a website to make the purchase when you have finally saved up enough money. Probably more than the price of your first car.
What would you say is your most prized purchase of all time when it comes to bikes?
Oh, crikey. A pair of white kangaroo leather road shoes. I love them so much. They were awesome.
I mean, I'm surprised by the answer, but I really shouldn't be. Blimey. I reckon mine was a pair of Onza mountain bike clipless pedals in the 90s. They were my first clipless pedals, so obviously I had to buy the shoes at the same time. Shimano M110s, I think they were. And it was glorious, even if they did fall flat on my face in the first ride with them. Moving on though, another thing that all cyclists should do at least once is ride up a massive climb. Preferably a famous one, I would say.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that you can, and the feeling of doing that climb is always amazing, isn't it?
It is, and actually, unlike other sports with cycling, you can ride the most famous climbs. Up to it, it's Mont Ventoux, Zoncolan. Well, they don't ride up that one. It's pretty horrible, isn't it? Mount Baldy, Lunga, climbs all over the world, made famous by the professional peloton, and you can do them too.
Maybe not quite as quickly as the professional peloton go up them, but nevertheless, you can do them. It's a bit like playing football at the Wembley Stadium, I guess, or cricket in the MCG, or baseball in one of America's international baseball stadiums that they use for the World Series of American baseball teams, isn't it? Anyway, speaking of spectating, I think every cyclist should go and watch a big pro race from the side of the road at least once.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, preferably in Belgium, where the racing is manic and the crowd's more passionate than almost anywhere else. But really, any bike race will do, won't it? Again, it gives you appreciation of just how fast people can ride bikes, even if you don't really get to see as much as if you watched it on TV.
No. The GCN Plus is what you're supposed to say just there, Si.
Well, yeah, on GCN Plus, streamed.
Oh, you got the TV app.
Cast to my TV, yeah.
Anyway, watching a race in person on the side of the road might just motivate you yourself to pin a number and race yourself, which is also something that we think every cyclist should do at least once just to get the experience. Now, it doesn't have to be a road race. It could be cyclocross, gravel, time trial, or whatever. Even if you decide it's not for you having raced, everyone should give it a try once.
Yeah, it's an experience.
What then about riding somewhere so far from your house that you find somewhere completely new to ride your bike?
Yeah, that is cool, especially if you live in a place with as many roads as we have here. They almost never ending. And actually, I found a website called Every Street Challenge. Okay.
I'm not even going to ask how you found it, but go on.
Google. It will plot a route for you which covers every street in your city. So for where I live in Bristol, it's I actually don't know how long it is because it's still having a think.
It's still calculating.
Yeah, but it links
that
up
many roads.
It links up every road, and actually, I think there's a lot of miles in Bristol, which links up to my next point, which is that every cyclist should blow their doors off at least once, completely run out of carbohydrate.
Because until that day, you will never really realise how good a cold can of Coke can taste.
Or a chunk of chocolate, or a massive piece of flapjack.
Or basically anything that your brain and body are craving when you've depleted every last bit of energy from your body.
Yeah. Right, two left, Dan. Ride to work. Sure, some of you are now going to say that your commute to work is 400 miles each way down a 34-lane highway. But admit it, a lot of us could ride to work. And it's cool. I mean, even you did it once, didn't you?
Well, twice, kind of. Because I cycled home, which took ages because it is 60 miles, I wasn't very fit. And then when I got home, I realised that I needed to leave for work again the next day, which was only about 9 hours from when I returned home because I'd left my car at the office the night before.
I remember it well. Your arrival, triumphant at the office, your subsequent departure to the supermarket next door where you bought chocolate milk and a can of cider.
I bought a Coke, chocolate milk, and a big cider. Like I said before, anything tastes good when you're completely blown up.
True that. Right, lastly, every cyclist should ride across a country. Now, this could be easy if you live near Liechtenstein. It could be very tricky if you live in Canada.
But that's the point, really, isn't it? It might be that you have to ride for a couple of days to get across the country, bikepacking, staying in hotels, whatever. But using your bike for a holiday is pretty awesome, isn't it? So I'm told.
But to be fair, mate, you have ridden across France, haven't you? You're probably just chewing your handlebars for most of it, trying to keep up.
I don't think there's any probably about it. It's like I definitely was chewing my handlebars.
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure the Tour de France is usually called a cycling holiday, even though you do get hotels. But yes, I have ridden across a few countries if we can include bike racing.
I think we can. Right, now let us know how many of these you have already ticked off. Which do you still have to do? And what, importantly, have we missed off our list?
Let us know in the comment section just down below. Now, speaking of cycling across countries, Si, caught up with a famous superstar international DJ just the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, because that is how I roll, mate.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure you do.
Yeah.
J.A. Big, I think his name is.
Ja Big.
Oh, yes, that's the one. Who will be familiar to some of you as the Canadian DJ who started cycling and rode across Canada in winter on a fixie as basically his first ever bike ride. He's now training for a new challenge.
Ja Big, it's a pleasure to meet you in person. What brings you to the UK?
So I'm here to DJ and to train for my big ride. And the DJ, it's like it's just that in Canada right now some of the things are locked down, and I came here to work, you know.
Uh-huh.
But unfortunately, it seems like here things are shutting down too. You know, like big time, you know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's this big ride then?
So from January until July 2022, I'll be riding around continental US to raise funds for World Bicycle Relief, a charity I've already been doing some work with. And, I figured, I'm a big fan of the US and I like, and it seems like a nice challenge.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, well, why not ride around the US since it seems like international travel is not happening. But for, as a Canadian, the US is just next door. So even if I have to come back home, there's an emergency, I can always cross the border.
Yeah, so a whole lap of the States. How far is that?
So it will be like a loop.
Yeah.
It will be, along the Pacific coast, the Mexican border, at the Atlantic Ocean, and then the Canadian border. And overall, it will be 16,000 kilometers, which is 10,000 miles, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, you're gonna have to keep us posted, Jabi. If you've got the time, we'd love to hear how you're getting on as you go. It's
yes, I will.
It sounds like a brilliant challenge.
I will.
Next up, GCN Inspiration. We've picked out our favourite 3 photos uploaded to the app over the last week. And in third place, getting a GCN Elite stainless steel thermal bottle is Tim Schmeltzler. Enjoying the scenery above Innsbruck. The view is always worth the freezing 20-minute downhill at -5 degrees centigrade.
Oh, that sounds a little bit nippy, but
It's a
look at
great
that.
view though, isn't it?
It's an amazing view. And I tell you what, if you're about to launch it down there, that looks like a fun 20-minute descent at -5. Look at that. I'd be well up for that, mate.
Would you?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm pretty extreme.
I think that'll take longer than 20 minutes anyway.
Right then, next up, in second place, winning a GCN Elite Fly 950 milliliter water bottle and a GCN Ember Fade Ass Saver is J. Russell 1712. County Durham Winter Wonderland, the highest pass in the country. Too icy to get to the top. Average temperature of -5 for
Another
a 5-hour ride.
-5. Got a bit of a theme going on here.
Yeah,
It does look slightly
crikey.
dangerous, that road.
It
to
does.
me.
I
but
suspect
it is
that's
a
why it turned
beautiful
round.
photo, I will admit. First place, getting themselves a GCN water bottle, a GCN Core Red hoodie, and the plant-based cyclist book is Big Old Gravel Unit. Love
What a
that
name.
handle. I had a stroke in December and ended up with a paralysed left arm and leg. This is me getting back onto my gravel bike for the first time in a few weeks. A few weeks later, should I say, on a good mate's kicker setup to show me what's possible. GCN kept me entertained and fired up to get back onto my gravel bike as soon as possible. Did my first of many Zwift rides on the weekend, less than 30 days after I had the stroke.
Whoa.
I'd have to mention it would mean a lot. You guys are amazing. I love the humour, and most importantly, the hashtag is converted from GMBN.
Well, there we go. I mean, that is inspirational,
It
isn't
is.
it, in the extreme? So, and I'm not talking about the hashtag. No, I'm talking about the story. That's amazing. Thank you very much for letting us know.
Fantastic and well done.
Big old gravel units.
All right, don't forget to get involved on next week's GCN Inspiration by uploading your inspirational cycling photos or videos to our app.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we will start with the news that a team of cyclists from Bangladesh have set a new Guinness record for a relay team by riding 1,037 miles in just 48 hours.
Which is an average speed of just under 35 kilometres per hour for 2 days. So we can immediately forget about going for the record with the GCN All-Stars team that failed so dismally on the ZRL.
Yes.
But well done to Drabir Alam, Tanvir Ahmed, Mohammed Aladdin and Rakibul Islam.
Well done there, mate. Crikey. Right, moving on. Something that we just missed for last week's show about bikes taking over the world. Denver Denver has passed the halfway point of their 125-mile bike lane project. So according to the Denver Post, 73% of households are now within a quarter of a mile of a protected bike path.
Which is great news, isn't it? Although that post also said there is a long way to go because apparently they need another 400 miles by 2050 to add to the 250 or so miles that they already have in the city.
Well, I mean, there is still a lot of work to be done everywhere, isn't there, frankly? London cyclists, they had a hard time last week when advice was given to reduce outdoor physical activity because an area of high pressure, weather talk now, swept across the capital of the UK. Actually, didn't sweep, it kind of sat there. Because of the lack of air movement, all the pollution just accumulated without being blown away.
Yeah. So rather than telling motorists to stop polluting the capital, they told cyclists and other outdoor people to stop exercising. Anyway, it did get us thinking about which cities are ranked highest in terms of air quality. So we've done a bit of digging and we thought we'd congratulate a few places around the world. So according to Berkeley Earth Turns, who analysed, should I say, and produced a raft of stats on environmental data, Newcastle in Australia tops the list.
Yeah, and Melbourne, Australia, is currently in second place. Honolulu is third, would you believe? Espoo in Finland is currently sitting in 16th, which is the cleanest city in Europe at the moment in terms of air quality anyway. And South Korea also has a fair few cities packed into the top 20 as well.
Interesting,
yep.
Isn't it? Anyway, back to racing now. If you want to know the hardest Grand Tour stage of 2022...
I do.
Stay tuned, coming right now. So it turns out it's going to be stage 16 of the Giro d'Italia, and this is according to the website cyclingcols.com. So they've ranked the difficulty of climbs based on things such as gradient, elevation gain and distance, and they reckon that stage 16 has the highest accumulated hardness, for want of a better word.
Right. Now, why is that stage so hard? I hear you ask.
Why is that stage so hard?
Yeah, I did hear you ask. 5,440 metres of elevation gain, 4 massive cols, including the Mortirolo, and 200 kilometres long, which is a big day, isn't it? And you can watch it all on GCN Plus this coming May. And actually, that stage beat stage 12 of the Tour de France, which finishes as top Alpe d'Huez.
Can't wait for the racing to start again. However, the hardest races on paper aren't always the hardest races because it's the riders that make the race, as we always say, not the terrain. So I thought this tweet from VeloFact was very interesting. So they ranked last year's men's races according to the highest weighted average power of the competitors who uploaded their ride to Strava complete with their power numbers.
Ready for it? Top of the list, the European Championships, won by Sonny Colbrelli. The average weighted power, 335 watts.
Which basically means I would have lasted 5 minutes there at a push. Interestingly though, the little known classic Loire Atlantique was second with an average weighted power of 329 watts, won by Alain Roux.
Who?
No, Roux.
Oh, so technically I did hear what he said, I just haven't heard of him. Anyway, he must be blooming good, because that is also hard.
It is a hard one, yeah.
Watts. Now, what was interestingly, what was of interest on that list was the hardest Grand Tour stage by average power was stage 18 of the Tour de France, but it only ranks 19th on the list.
Interesting. And I guess that probably means that those stages in the bigger races are more controlled by the big teams. They're probably harder in places, when it's really hard, but easier at other points in the stage.
Definitely harder in places.
I might delve deeper into this on next week's Racing News Show on Monday. So
nice.
Speaking of which, yesterday's Racing News Show, and that I took a look at where cycling superstars are starting their 2022 season, so make sure you check that out if you haven't done so already.
You've started your season already, haven't you?
Yeah, been Zwifting.
There you go, yeah. It's not long until, pro racing starts up, not just down on Zwift. I can't wait, quite frankly, but I'm particularly looking forward to the World Cyclocross Champs in Fayetteville, which is in just 10 days' time.
And that one's live in the USA on GCN Plus, amongst other territories. Moving on though to a story picked up by Cycling Weekly here in the UK, where Halfords are offering free e-bike rental to those that are currently affected by a closure of a section of the Northern Underground line, which is going through maintenance processes at the moment.
It's quite cool, isn't it? It's on a first come, first served basis, and you will have to pay a deposit of £101. Any idea
It's like
why?
an arbitrary figure, I'm not sure why.
Yeah, okay, but you will get that returned to you when you return the bike. But yeah, fair play, Halfords. Good initiative, that.
It is. Yeah, that is a great initiative, isn't it? Although next up, we've been trying to give something away for free, unsuccessfully. Basically, we can't get hold of the winner of the Orica 07 competition. So if your name is Javier Villa, please send us a message. We've been trying to contact you, but we've had no response. And we've got a great prize just waiting to be sent out to you.
Yeah. It's Probably because we mispronounced it when we were saying who won it.
It's like, that's not me.
Javier Villa. Villa?
He's not even there saying, oh, so close. He's just
No.
like, doesn't recognise his name at all.
No. Right, before we leave cycling shorts, we've got to tell you what's coming up on GCN Plus. We have an absolute banger of a film for you. Mitch Docker has showed us round Girona Heartlands. It's just wicked. It's such a cool film. So
There's
so
a
do make sure you
lot
check it out.
of great cycling in it, but there's also a game of wall ball, apparently.
Who knew there was such a thing as wall ball?
Well, cyclists do get bored, don't they? And that's
They
their
do.
only thing to do in life. Hack/bodge of the week now, and this first one comes in from Titus Sihanus. Making my own cycling caps. My mum owns work clothing factory that produces quite a bit of scrap fabric. Therefore, I decided to do something with it. So here I am sewing cycling caps in my bedroom.
That is very cool. And that is a nice looking cap
It's
as well, isn't it?
amazing.
100%. Hack from me.
Hack from me as well. And unsurprisingly, most of you voting that a hack, 91%. I
Peak
just
up.
don't understand 9% of people that would say that that is a bodge.
No, I don't understand that either. That's really weird. No, I think that's brilliant. Keep them coming. Right, next up, we've got this from Schemo the DJ. Going single speed to complete my 350 kilometre ride. That is epic. He said he broke his hanger with no spare at 230 kilometres ridden, had to improvise and go single speed on a 50-15 setup. Glad to have found the legs to finish that ride, as it was my longest Nairobi to Kisumu in Kenya. That is impressive, isn't it?
That
That's
is
some ride.
impressive. I'm going to hack.
Yeah, 100% hack from me.
What's the results?
80% of you lot thought that was a hack as well.
well-
20% could have said it was a bodge that he broke his rear
Yeah.
leg hanger, maybe.
Next up, this one came in from Gooey071. Camera stand. First month of lockdown and first Zoom calls needed to be creative. I was conducting a wine tasting online.
As you do.
I didn't have a good camera to go live, so I used my mobile phone and had to use my bike as a stand.
No way, look at that. I mean, that is a massive bodge, isn't it? But still,
I am going to
ingenious.
say bodge, but also, I'm tempted to say hack. I'd never have thought of doing that.
I mean, that is ingenious. I probably would have used a table and just sort of like propped it up. But no, that looks fantastic. It's just a bodge that you've had to do it in the first place, I think. You ever done an online wine tasting, Dan?
No, I'm very tempted now.
How many beer tastings have you done?
Online? None.
You should get involved.
I should start a business.
You could totally start a business.
I might start slurring my words somewhat, but still.
Dan's Mineral Waters. Yeah, no, that's cool, that one. 63% of you lot said that was a hack, by the way. Right, next up, we've got this one from ACarey822. Helmet and accessory bag. Interesting.
Nice.
My girlfriend's mum, Kathy, has made this cycling bag for Christmas. It's brilliant. I thought it deserved sharing for added kudos. That does look very cool, doesn't
Amazing,
it? Where have you found that fabric,
Love
Kathy?
that. That's a hack from me.
There's a hack from me as well.
And it's a hack from 85% of you. Well done, Kathy.
I love it. Like, seriously, where have you found that fabric?
Moving on.
Sorry.
Gecko89 is that? Velcro straps replace Boadar. My dog chewed up my shoes Boadar. With the group ride the next morning, I was unable to loosen or tighten the shoe, so I had to cut the shoe cable and use my X-Lab Velcro strap, normally used for my TT bike, to keep my shoe tight. It worked well for the 35-mile ride that we did.
Can't argue with that.
No, I'd say that's a hack, just to get you onto your ride after you. I think my current dog would chew my shoes if I left them anywhere out and about.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
He's a
really
nightmare.
annoying.
Yeah, it would be, yeah. And I wouldn't be able to do that with a Velcro strap either. Just-
No. Better hope as well that you don't have any kangaroo leather shoes, because that'd be heartbreaking.
Should we move on, Si?
Yeah, we should, yeah. Right, Juanpa, the ultimate handlebar sweat protection.
Oh my
I'm
word.
tuning in. I sweat a lot during turbo sessions.
Yeah,
Don't
what's
we
he
all?
said though?
And even through the bar tape, even though the bar tape should provide some sweat corrosion protection from my aluminium handlebar, I didn't want to take any risks, so I wrapped my bars with a plastic bag. Oh, that's disgusting. Anyway, he said, I reckon it's possible to make it neater, but it got me through 100% indoor Festive 500, and it's still going
Well,
strong.
when you say you think it's possible to make it look neater, you're not wrong. That looks like a right mess. Bodge.
Yeah, it is. Also, I mean, aluminium doesn't typically corrode, does
Shouldn't
it?
do, should it?
No.
No, bodge all round that one.
Yeah, totally.
Go,
Oh, and yes-
go away, do some improvements, get back to us.
just invest in some new bar tape. You know,
It's not that expensive, is it, bar tape?
No, plastic. Plastic.
I mean, it is a shame to finish on a bodge, but that is exactly what it is, and 79% of our viewers agree. Next week's hacks and bodges are already up on the app for you to vote on, but if you'd like to get involved already for a couple of weeks' time, please do so.
Right, it's Caption Competition time now, the part of the show where you get a chance to win a coveted GCN Elite water bottle. All you got to do is put a witty caption in the comment section down below that relates to a photo we're about to give you. But as always, it's results time first. Dan, you weren't here last week, and Manon totally knocked it out of the park.
So I've read in the comments.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly happy.
Brilliant. Hilarious.
Well, wait till mine this week.
Go on then.
But first up, winner of last week's caption is Ali Hume. That was, hands down, the hardest climb I've ever done.
See what you did there, Ali.
Very good, Ali.
Nice. Yeah,
That
well
is
done.
our kind of level.
Yeah. Manon's was a turf act to follow, but...
Yes. I think you've already put comments of the week alluding to something very similar, which we'll get onto later. So.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
First up, though, this week's caption photo
in.
is from the Australian National Championships, and I'm going to get you started. Luke Plapp takes winning the inaugural Australian Balance Bike Championships in his stride. I can't believe it.
I see what
reaction
you've
at all.
tried to do there. Should we text Manon, see whether she...
No, I think we should leave it.
Okay.
We will let the viewers do their things in the comment section down below.
Fair enough.
We have got some cracking videos coming up for you this week on GCN. But before we tell you what they are, a few cracking comments from last week. I say cracking, but the first few come from underneath last week's GCN show, unfortunately.
They do indeed. Bradley Bleck.
Yes.
Manon has made it turf on Dan. See what you did there? When it comes to future caption competitions, she
Yes.
really did.
I've deleted the other comments that you put in relating to the caption competitions last week. I'm only jealous, as you all well know. Daryl wrote in saying, next week on GCN, what type of dog would each presenter be, and could they bike jog? Submit your responses below. Well, handily, we had some other comments. One came in the same video from Stephen Druitt. Hank, definitely a Jack Russell. Into everything at a million miles an hour and looking for the next adventure. But underneath America's Secret Cycling Paradise, Kevin Farron, but I think Hank is part Labrador. He goes straight for the water every time.
He's full Labrador, 100%, isn't he? Or did we say Spaniel? I can't remember. Do you know what? Dan, without a shadow of a doubt, would be a greyhound.
Oh, yes, very fast.
Very fast, very lazy. Takes an awful lot to get them to run.
They're very
but
lovable greyhounds, aren't they?
Well, they are. Yeah, they are nice. They're like nothing better than to curl up on the sofa and just not do anything.
Because they've exerted themselves at such high speeds for half an hour.
Particularly if you get a retired racing greyhound, much like Dan, and they don't do anything ever. So yeah, that would be you. 100%.
Anyway, back to comments. Also under that America's Secret Cycling Paradise, Michael Ganscher wrote in saying, excellent Hank, welcome to the US. I must say, I never thought of Arkansas as a cycling destination before I heard that the Cyclocross World Champs was shipping off here, and it looks great.
It does. There's an ultra endurance race around Arkansas. Quite fancy having a pop at that at some point.
Well, I would do, but they're not really for greyhounds, ultra endurance races.
No, they're not really, are they?
The old ones.
Yeah. Right then, underneath can Ollie break 1,000 watts? We've got a comment here from Daniel Lloyd. No.
Yes, do you like that?
I did, yeah.
Didn't get as many likes as I was hoping, to be
that's a
perfectly
shame.
honest.
Well, you just spoiled the video, didn't you? Basically.
I think he will do it, in all honesty. Scott Burt, under that same video, put, I couldn't hit 1,000 watts with my finger stuck in a light socket.
That's because you get 240, isn't it? Oh no, that's volts.
Yes.
Try and be clever.
Let's
Didn't work.
move on, Si.
Yep, okay. Underneath cargo bike versus cargo bike, had this great comment from Gabriele Brusa. Children up to 130 meters, up to 1.3 meters tall can fit. That's great. You could even get Dan Lloyd inside it. So, yeah. And this one from Veronica, I thought was fantastic. I'm so in love with cargo bikes. I don't have any children, but these make me want to literally borrow people's kids just to take them around on bicycles.
Well, you and I both have kids that we would quite happily lend out on maybe a Friday night and a Saturday night each week.
They'd be good
I'm only
company, for sure, on a cargo bike. They absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Great banter, really.
The only trouble with mine is that Ralph's now 19. might not quite fit Veronica, unfortunately. Anyway, underneath how to get the most out of training in sub-zero conditions, SAF 1981 put, I've completed many a very successful winter training plan for minus conditions. Lift coffee cup to lips whilst looking through the slit in blinds at snow, and then take another sip.
Fellow greyhound, right there, isn't it?
Yeah, lazy as.
Right, what is coming up on GCN this week, I hear you ask?
Well, on Wednesday, it is top 10 worst ideas on a bike ride. Many of which we probably read out in our lead story at the start of the show, didn't we? On Friday, 8 of the hardest things about road cycling. Plus, over on GCN Racing, Connor is going to tell you the top Neo Pros to watch out for. So basically, riders in their first professional season this year.
On Saturday, we have got a closer look at the tech that's on the new Cannondale Synapse. So there's a first look video out on GCN Tech now, and then we're looking more specifically at the radar and the lights here on GCN as well. So it's quite an intriguing proposition, that one, Dan.
It is. So I very much enjoyed looking at that calendar. He was telling me all about it just the other day. In terms of racing this week, well, we've got one on Saturday and on Sunday. It's the X2O Badcammers Trophy Cyclocross on Saturday and the final round of the UCI World Cup on Sunday, 1 week ahead of those World Championships. And don't forget, every Monday evening at 1900 GMT, it is the ZRL Premier Division. You can catch that live on GCN Racing's YouTube and Facebook pages.
I missed Sunday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and so it's a banger. Victor Campenaerts and also the indoor rowing world champion face off. Who is better? How cool is that? Actual real life Victor Campenaerts. So yeah, make sure
to.
to.
Close, couldn't it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know the outcome. I look forward to watching that. Right. That must be probably the longest show we've ever done, Si, isn't it?
Probably.
Unless the editors have chopped lots of gold out.
Probably. Not long enough, though, unfortunately, because every street challenge is still loading.
Still trying to work out the number of roads in Bristol.
So
we'll get back to you next week with another
I reckon
bumper
mining
edition.
for Bitcoin is probably easier than this. But anyway.
Well, maybe it's because you're doing that it won't load this.
What, because I'm mining for Bitcoin?
Yeah. You're a bit late to the party, Si, unfortunately.
Can you not find any more now? What?
It's a treasure hunt.
I'm too busy trading NFTs.
Thanks for watching. See you next week.